Hey guys, Matt here with another rant. I apologize in advance. It could go a little long, but essentially what I want to do today is two different things. I want to talk about this ADK Thor, and I also want to talk about voiceover artists. I'm getting a little bit annoyed with voiceover artists. I've just started working for a new studio, and I'm getting sent a lot of different audio from all over the country, people working from home, people working from radio stations. And what I'm hearing is some real problems, and you would think it'd be something more related to room and room treatment, but it's not really so much that. It's microphone choice. There are just so many people using the wrong mic for their voice, and especially what's really, really irritating me is mics that are accentuating sibilance in people's voices. Being a bit of a sibilant voice myself, obviously I know that this can be an issue, so I've looked around and tried to find a mic that suits my voice. I've ended up with the Shure KSM44, and that thing to me sounds great. It's just a little bit bright, but it's quite a smooth top end, and it definitely tames my sibilance. Running that into the Focusrite ISA 1, such an incredible sound to me. I just love that sound. I'm happy to record in there and send that audio to anybody, and I know that it's going to hit the producer's computer. They're going to load it in, and they're going to go, sounds good. You know, as a producer myself, I don't get this enough. I get too many voices where I'm like, whoa, here we go. The sibilance is there. It's enough to crack the windows of my studio, and it's very depressing because there is some pretty good voiceover artists out there who are doing a lot of work who have just not invested in the right mic. It's not necessarily a case of spending a certain amount of money per se, because there are some great mics out there. This one cost about $350 on sale, and it's a pretty cool sounding little mic. I've got this Aston Origin here. It's similar sort of money. This thing sounds really good. I don't use this day to day for voiceovers, but I use it every day for radio production, just as, throw in a quick voice, shove it over some music and sound effects and whatever, and it really cuts through really nicely. Aston have another mic coming out. It's meant to be quite a nice sounding mic. It's all pretty similar money, around that $300 mark. Unfortunately, what I see a lot of is people just getting into the game and they're asking their more experienced voiceover mates, hey, what mic should I get? And there's just a bit too much, steering in the wrong direction. I especially see people recommending the Rode NT1 and the Rode NT1A, and this isn't a dig at Rode or these particular mics, because these mics definitely have their place. They just don't suit everybody. They only suit some people's voices, and this is what annoys me, because they're being recommended as though, hey, you want a mic? This is a great mic. And it's like, well, actually, it's a great mic for certain situations and certain people's voices, not everybody. So if you're a more experienced voiceover artist and people are coming to you and they're like, hey, what mic can I get? I'm just getting into this. Tell them to go and check a few, different shops out and try a few different mics. Stop telling them to just go and get an NT1A, because it's just not going to be the right mic for everybody. And the more you play around with mics and preamps, the more you realize how each of them has their own kind of characteristics, and they're not going to suit everybody all the time. So yeah, if you have people coming to you, give them the advice to go and try some. Buy a couple of different ones. You can always send them back, or you can sell them again if they're not working for you. I've gone through plenty of mics here, and I've ended up selling a few that just didn't work for me. But honestly, you don't know until you really give it a good try. Everybody's voice is different, so it's definitely worth having a proper look around. And, if you're a professional voiceover and you're still using a mic that makes you sound really sibilant, please, for the love of God, go and get a decent sounding mic for your voice. I just have way too many audio tracks coming in. As I said, especially with that sibilance, it's probably the hardest thing to tame. You can run it through different plugins and whatever, but it's so whistly and high-pitched, it's really hard to control. You are better off controlling it at the mic stage, mic and preamp stage, because even a good preamp will help to just sort of even out the frequencies as well. Sort it out at this end, in the analog realm, and then once it gets into digital, it's just so much easier to work with. And as I said, get the preamp right as well. Like, I've got a mate who has a bunch of pretty nice mics, and he's been doing it for a long time. He gets a lot of work. He's a really great voice. He was using a basic interface preamp, and he stepped up. He's got an SSL unit now. And, for him, even once he put some of these mics through it, he's like, wow, this just sounds better. And I said, well, yeah, I told you a couple of years ago. And so it took him a couple of years. He finally got himself sorted, but now he realizes how much difference it makes. So get your mic sorted. Get your preamp sorted, definitely get your room sorted. Anyway, I'm going to have a bit of a chat about this mic now. Essentially, you got a bunch of switches on this thing, which is really cool. You got a couple of different pads and a couple of different bass roll-offs. So I'm going to switch the first bass roll-off on. That's the first one there. You can hear straight away it's quite a different offering. And then we'll switch this on to the next one, and there's the next one again. So, you know, nice to have that option. Couple of different bass roll-offs. You don't see this too often on mics. I've got that on my Shure, but I haven't seen it on many others. So let's switch it back over. So then we're going to have a play with this. This is the high shelf. How's that? So that's a bit more top end. You can hear all of a sudden it's just a little bit brighter. Probably too bright for most voices. Definitely too bright for mine. But could be really useful for, say, stringed instruments, acoustic, whatever. Could be a really nice option to have just to bring out some sparkle. So it's good to have that on board. This is the cut in the top end. So all of a sudden, yeah, I mean, huge difference. You can hear how much that tamed that top end. Almost sounds too flat, but in a way, if you're very sibilant like I am, could be a pretty good option. You could send this file through to the studios. They're going to be able to bump that top end up anyway and get some brightness out of it. It's going to be a little bit smoother. They're not going to have to fight as much to get that sounding right. So it's a nice little option to have as well. At the moment, I'm actually running this mic as an over kick mic to pick up a bit of kick and snare, and I switch that cut on just to sort of eliminate some of that real top end stuff and really focus in on the depth of the kick and the snare. So let's flick that back. So now we've got the patterns here. I'm running on cardioid at the moment, but let's flick it over. So this is in Omni mode. So you can hear it's pretty different sound already. I did notice as you come to the sides, it tends to drop off a bit in the top end. It's not as clear. Once I roll around here, you can hear the difference there, a bit more presence. So let's flick that over to the figure of 8 now. So that's figure of 8. This thing has a really nice off-axis rejection. Again, it's a really different sound. It's like getting 3 different microphones in one. Well, even more because you've got all these other combinations of stuff here. So it's quite a versatile mic. Definitely a great little Swiss Army mic, you know, Swiss Army knife mic, what do they say, for the studio. So happy that I bought a couple of these. These will definitely come in handy. Flick back to cardioid, and there it is. Essentially, that's all I really wanted to talk about. Just get your mic right. Voiceover artists that have been doing it for a while, who still haven't got their mic right, you don't have an excuse. You make more money for one voice job than a mic even costs. Go sort your mic out. Go look at, you know, videos on YouTube. There's me, there's Booth Junkie, there's another podcast guy, I can't remember his name, but he reviews heaps of them. You're not going to hear exactly how it's going to sound on your voice, but you hear the general characteristics of each mic, and that helps a lot. You can know, well, I really like the bass in that one, or I really like the sizzle in that one, or whatever. Definitely check out videos, make sure you got good headphones or good speakers. I mean, honestly, it's like a builder who's using a shoe to hammer in a nail. You know, well, you could get a hammer, or you could even step up and get a nail gun, but yeah, of course you can hammer a nail in with a shoe, but it ain't the best tool for the job, seriously. So go and get the right tool. You're going to have less problems. You're going to have tick off less producers. They're going to be more likely to recommend you for more work. They're going to be happier to work with you. It's going to mean they spend less time editing your crappy audio because it's going to not be crappy anymore. And, you know, it'll free up their day and they'll be happier as well. And everybody will be happy. So go sort it out, please. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video. If you want to hear this on any sources, hit me up. Questions, comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.